Well, you see the hands waving up and people looking like they're doing the old Egyptian dance and whatnot, and doing this and the wide eyes and acting and whatnot. But the best poetry reading is trying to basically just give the words. You don't have to do it in a monotone. You can put a little passion and effort into it, but let the words carry the weight of what you're doing. If you're doing so-called performance art, that's one thing. If you're doing something in a dramatic setting and you're basically acting a one-man show, when you're doing poetry, that's not what that is. As far as LeRoi Jones or Amiri Baraka, this goes back to when I was, this was probably 89, 90, something like that. And I went to the West Side Y in New York, and I had read his poems, which have never been particularly good. He has maybe two or three poems that are passable. I read some of his polemical essays and his early stuff from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, which had some talent in terms of how he expressed it in writing. I didn't always agree with his views, but he had some writing talent. His play Dutchman, which is actually, you can look and see a black and white film that was made of it in the late 60s. It's not quite faithful to the original, but that's about really all he wrote. By the time I saw him in the late 80s, he was the stooped over black guy, old black man with a harem of sort of young white college age acolytes, half of which were female. And you could tell just by the way they touch and whatnot that they probably, felt, oh, I got fucked by LeRoi Jones or Amiri Baraka, or whatever the fuck he wanted to call himself. But it was such bullshit. I mean, his poetry by that time was shit. And he had a couple of the girls, I think, go up and read these absolute banalities. And he was literally there probably less than 10 minutes and left and whatnot. And this is why you're going to see this guy? I mean, it was such shit. He was such an utter and total phony. He was someone who claimed to have these political views and I'm for this and that. In reality, he would have been perfectly at home in today's reality TV show environment. They could have called him, the Barakas instead of the Kardashians. I'm sure if he's got a daughter who's actually quite cute. Or she was when she was young. He had his daughter. I could just see him being at the center of a reality TV show. He was much more concerned with LeRoi Jones, the image, than he was with actually making good art.